And we're back. It's the Monday Not So Live show. I'm your host, Mappy Davis. Cheryl is here. Dave is here. Jay will be joining us from the UK very shortly. And today's going to be a spicy one. I want to tell you guys that I got more comments and reactions from two very quick Instagram stories than I have in a very long time. The typical story that we put up on a good day in 24 hours gets like 800 views. All right. I don't mind telling you how the sausage is made here. HYROX weekend, 2,000, right? But the average, whatever, 600 to 800, right? There was over 2,500 views, many comments. And some were saying good on you. Some were laugh emojis. Some had questions. So that's what we're going to somewhat go over today. They weren't positive about movement standards, or thought maybe Deadly Dozen has different movement standards than maybe other races. And some were flat out offended because we were told there were bad reps called, and we'll get to that. But I have a bigger theory, you guys. I have a bigger theory why everybody went apeshit this weekend. People are fucking bored. World Championships were all the way back in June. We haven't had a HYROX of consequence. Listen, I've been to a bunch of great races. I've been to some comps. I've been to some, sims. It's been a great time, but people are fucking bored. What do you think, Cheryl Snow?
I think you gave them something to talk about. That's what the people want. Nice job.
Dave?
I'm surprised that people were angry because you've done far stupider things.
One thing I also think, and maybe we'll talk
I thought you were going to say maybe like meaner or
okay, far meaner, far more. Yeah, things stupider. That I thought. Yeah, well, I'm playing to the audience here. No, I think how about let's rule it. Far more controversial thing.
Correct. Yeah, because I didn't expect it, and I think because I've been lulled to sleep by the lack of big news, that I was just like, all right, well, these reps look lousy, and I didn't know that I touched this big nerve. And I do know what it's like, Dave. You and I have both been to events that people talked shit that weren't there, and you're like, you weren't there, so you can't speak to XYZ or XYZ for my American audience. But I do have eyes, and I think I can call bad reps whether I was there or not. I think I can if the angle's decent.
Matt, was there any sense that you got that people just felt like you were picking on this new race?
Okay, so here's the other piece that I'm gonna sort of answer your question with. Okay. And I said this in the notes in case I forgot, which is, I think because Deadly is new, or newer, and even though we are all well aware of it, and Jason, who's about to jump on, obviously has been busting his ass for however long, I think the either consciously or unconsciously, without eyes on it, people's behavior isn't as good. Because this is what the DEKA ram finish line used to look like, right? It used to look like people tossing rams, zero extension, and then what happened? We started talking about it a lot. Well, they hired Dave. We talked about it. The internet as a whole talked about it. So the race gets better, the athletes get better, and the judges get better. You could say the same thing for Sean Noble, right? I don't think Sean's doing any lousy lunges anymore. So I'm not saying the three of us are specifically responsible. I'm saying that as a consciousness in the sport, it's exactly what we need to make shit better.
Okay.
Yeah. It sheds lights on it. I mean, I get why people can be upset when you mention that a race has had bad reps or something like that. I mean, nobody understands it more than me. It's like a kick in the gut, especially if you're there and you've participated and you're part of the judging corps and you look back on it, you're like, fuck, right? It hurts but at the same time, it at least has to be drawn attention to a little bit to make it better. If we don't identify the problems don't get fixed. And not specifically we, but the greater we, don't identify a problem, it never gets fixed. So yeah, I understand why some people can take it as like, that we're getting picked on or this or that or whatever, because it hurts. But in reality, that's not what's actually happened. That's not what Matt did. I love to throw Matt under the bus. It's a lot of fun. But I don't think in this particular occasion you did anything wrong. So I get why people would be hurt and upset, but I think down the road and you look back on it, you're going to be like, yeah, they weren't good reps. And hopefully things improve from it.
So before I'm about to bring Jay on, and I know he's sitting there listening, and he's got a lot to say. Jay likes to talk. I love Jay, but he does like to talk.
Jay's awesome. He's put in work like mad.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that. But I guess I want you specifically, Dave, as a guy whose opinion I respect, as a person who I believe knows good depth and good fitness technique and whatnot. Is a different word I'm looking for. I can't think of.
Form.
Yeah, thank you. The idea that, well, there were some bad reps called. Why is that not enough in this case, Dave? Because apparently there were some. Apparently he did, like, say 70 instead of 60 because there were some bad reps called. Tell the audience why that's not enough in this case.
Well, I think we can go back to different occasions. I mean, if I have somebody who's just struggling to get through the race and I'm calling 10, 12, 15 no reps on them and nothing's changing, eventually they just cannot get it done. And I know this person's about to be 4 hours to finish the race. I might just say, fine, that's enough, right? But in this particular scenario, the people identified were the guy who ended up setting the world record and the other gentleman who came third place, who was, I believe, he has been in the Elite 15 or always knocking on the door of the Elite 15.
Jake.
Yeah, Jake.
Who I like. Jake and I are very good friends. You can see.
Yeah, and he's right there. And so what I'm talking about, these are the pointy end of the spear athletes, right? And you can't just say, well, we called lots of no reps. So then we called 10 no reps. So now they can have the 50 for free. You call a no rep when it's a no rep. You don't call it because you have a quota or because enough. If I call this many, then I can let the rest go.
Well, the part you said to me in the messages, I was trying to tee you up there, was the form never got better.
No, it didn't. And that's what I mean. So you can't just call 10 and nothing changes and then let the rest go. So yeah, that's the thing. There was subtle changes, but not enough. And I mean, again, video. So when I talk about the ones that I saw that were not good, I'm talking about things that were glaringly obvious. So put it this way, I'm not even going to talk about squats because the squats, a lot of them were close enough. Some were bad, but most of them were close. And from the angle, I'd say, let's call it camera angle. I can't determine.
All right. So let's get to those. But again, I just want to say, because I got cut off there, that I really like Jason from Deadly Dozen. And I really like Jake and I are friends. And I did hesitate for that reason. I honestly didn't realize it was him at first, and I was about to publish. I'm like, oh shit, that's my friend Jake, who I really like. And I'm like, well, Matt, you got to call a spade a spade. So there you go. So Jay has been forced to sit on his hands and listen to us, give him some criticism. And now, first of all, just the fact that as soon as I messaged him, Jay voice noted me, even though I can barely understand his English, and said, Matt, I welcome this and I'm happy to come talk, which is what makes you, again, a good race director as opposed to some who want to put their head in the sand or say you're just out to get us, et cetera, et cetera. So welcome to the show, Jay. Welcome back to the show.
Hi, guys. How you doing? Oh, cheers, mate. Hi, guys. How you doing?
Hey, Jay.
Hi.
So the floor is yours.
Go on, then.
For the immediate
the floor is mine. So, right. So I'll go straight. Yeah. So really, I was absolutely happy. It was with what you said, should I say? And I think a couple of people weren't, because they felt like actually throughout that race they were jumping on the elites. Yet looking back, the snatches weren't quite to standard. Now they no-repped him a lot. Now I would caveat by saying, like, obviously we sort of are in a position now where we get told every day, oh, by the way, you want to have more good judges, and we're like, really but like, and that's been the case for the last 12 months, and we're increasing capacity on the races so we can put an extra, literally, I'll speak figures, 10 grand into judges per race, because we know it's our biggest scaling issue, and a lot of people say it's education. It is a little bit, but it's more about having individuals that have the confidence to no rep. And in that case, we did have individuals that did have the confidence. And I think Dave Parkin is a bit of an outlier. And Deadly Dozen is a different beast to HYROX. And I think a lot of the Elite 15 HYROXers are going to get caught out on Deadly. And I don't think that was the case with Jake, because I think he had like a 12-hour drive and he'd not done a lot of specific training, whereas Dave has done a lot. But Dave's a shorter athlete, and the HYROX Elite 15s, they're taller guys. Now, what we're seeing a lot from Deadly is elite, good level HYROXers are coming across, good people, good coaches, even like Kieran and stuff that was at the race. They're looking back at their form and going, oh, wow, actually, because you're rushing these movements, these high reps, you know, it's relatively moderate load, they're just rushing a little bit. And that's what we're seeing a lot of. And we need to start encouraging our judges to actually go, stop. Because when you're racing, even I do it. So you've got to take a dumbbell from the floor to overhead with one arm. Then once it's extended, at any point you can change. Now, what people do is they start to change as they go up, or just before extension, and they change, or they don't quite lock their elbow out. And what happens when you go no rep, or extend, you can shout extend at someone 5 or 10 times and nothing changes. So what I think we need to do is instruct the judges that you can stop people, and you're going to have the confidence. So what we're doing next year is there's 12 labor lanes, as we call them. You'll like that. And each one's going to have a head judge. And then each head judge builds a team, and we sort of incentivize them to say, look, we want your lane to be the best lane. Now, when it came to, obviously on the day, Dave and Jake were racing, and Jake's like sort of elite 15, you know, world class, you know, a lot of people know him in the sport. Dave was going hell for leather. Now, I think most of the elite 15 are going to struggle to beat Dave. Even he does need to tighten up on things, and we know that, and we should have been even harsher. And I do think we fell short. But Dave is shorter, and he reps so fast, and he doesn't slow down. There's no point where he slows down on transition, and it's a different beast. And I think we know now that some of these guys are going to rep so fast that we actually do need to stop them, to make sure. We just need to be even harsher. So there's no criticism on my side. However, a few of my guys, I think like the media guys and some of the judges, felt like as a whole, they were really pushing it that day. And then off one snippet, it's like, boom, here's the story. You know, it's like, here's the bad bit of press. And they just thought, you know what, we've worked. I think they felt
I could have included
really
a lot
hard.
more, though. I only included 2 clips. I could have included more.
Yeah.
Dave's message to me was, I said, which other stations do you think were bad? And he's like, I didn't see a good one on these like 3 stations. So just so you know, it wasn't just it wasn't like we caught the one bad guy doing a couple of bad reps.
Yeah. The thing is with it is, the problem we'll always have with Deadly Dozen is that it is so much knee, hip, and elbow extension, right? And people could say, Dave talked about that a long time ago, and I realized that actually for the race, it needs to be a goblet squat, it needs to be a push press, it needs to be a snatch, because the whole idea of the race is it's built off the fundamental movements. It's built off what people are doing in the garage gyms, the home gyms, the gyms, right? And that's what the Deadly Dozen is it's 12 400s and 12 movements that are all the movements that you do in the gym with simple equipment, dumbbells, kettlebells, weight plates. And you know what? It's always going to be a massive problem. But all we have to do is just build the culture. But it's not going to happen. Even if we threw 100 grand at it, it's not going to happen overnight, because we need to build that culture with the athletes. And then we need to build the culture. So just for your information, we have a database now, it's spreadsheet just in the UK, of over 500 judges in the UK that we use. And we've now brought on Paul Gillingham, who's like, you know, big on the HYROX. He's now head of judging in the UK, and he's mentoring the judges, and he's building teams of head judges. So that's the one thing that I think we get fingered by, is that we're doing 600 people a race, we're going to 1,000. And if you were to say to me, is it a really positive, fun fitness activity, or is it an elite sport? What comes first? I would say it's a fun activity. Then it's about, right, let's get this expanded, let's get it out there, and then let's perfect it, let's get it right, and let's make sure, because our aim now is between 2028 and 2030, we want 1 million races a year, so 1 million participants a year, and we know we can get there from what we've already achieved. But the problem is the biggest issue is the standards, and it always will be. And the way to get around it is we're going to throw a load of money at it. But I own an academy, an education academy, so we're going to build the education, build the certifications, and just keep working on it. But I absolutely agree that I do think that Dave I do think Dave, I'm going to say it, Dave will beat most of the Elite 15 on Deadly Dozen. I think Deadly Dozen is going to.
That
But
wouldn't
I do.
surprise, that wouldn't surprise me at all. His short levers and short range of motion is custom made for those movements between the squats, the snatches, this ground overhead. I mean, it's like a Miriam Von Rohr style, right? Like he has those short levers, and it's tailor made for him.
Yeah, but he's going that bit too fast. So and I think our judges were everyone's impressed with what he was doing, and I think actually he probably needed slowing a little bit.
Well, listen, let me just cut you off there to say that again. One of the things I liked about you day one, you said you were like, Matt, listen, we know the judging isn't there yet. You flat out said it, which again is better than most who just go in defensive mode. You said that's why we're not doing championships. That's why we're not giving out prize money, like till we get this sorted. And I thought that's great. However, now we've got, you post you and Ian did today, and I love both of you, but it's like world records, and I'm just like, is it?
Yeah.
So it just makes me, you know what I'm saying?
I get that. I do still think the record has integrity because he's beating people he beat so Jake's like a fantastic athlete, and he'll come back and take minutes off, like, because he's world class. And when he was running, it takes some athletic prowess to have like everyone comment on how good you look while you run. Not just good looking, but like he just looked like he was flying. But Dave's like 7 minutes ahead, like. And I get like, there's a little bit more extension that's needed and stuff like that. But the guy's taking 5 minutes off the people that were the current world record holders. And so I still think, yes, I do think we need to do better, but that's always the case. And actually we are introducing prize money next year for the championship. So there's going to be, just so you know, we are going to announce this officially, but I'll put it on here, is we're going to have £60,000 British pounds for the UK champs. And this is funded by us, not sponsors. So if we get bigger sponsors, we'll ramp it up. There's going to be £120,000 for the world champs. So
this is next fall 26.
So May spring, and then fall 26 we'll have the world champs. So there'll be 12 grand for the winners, basically British pounds. So, and that's winners of the male, female, solo, and pair, all the pairs. So mixed pairs, female pairs, male pairs. They'll win 12 grand. And that's funded by us. So if we get additional sponsors next year, which we're hoping for, then we'll try and raise them up. But we do want to be competitive. We do want to bring in the best athletes. And I do think this is raised light that I think the people that are currently winning the world records would have the records. I think maybe you'd take at most a minute off their time or something like that by slowing them down, But I think it's just taught us that we need to not, it's not just about no repping, it's about stopping people and saying, look, and then it's clear then, because even when I'm doing it, they run over to me. I did it the weekend, and I get my hand on it a little bit early sometimes, and they shout at you, and you sort of don't do anything for a little bit because you're knackered and you're a bit stressed. And when you're squatting, you're not trying to cheat, but you just, it's just one of them.
Even old Hiller, who I'm not the biggest fan of, says film yourself and look at what you're doing, because you'll see where you're missing the mark. So because you feel like you're going deep enough. And again, the idea that comes from CrossFit is, well, you want to cross the line because you want to see what you can get away with. But then there's a level of what I just call no integrity. That's like, well, now you're just fucking the dog. And Jake, who I love, was holding it with two hands. He was picking it up with both hands and not getting it all the way up. So it's 0 for 2 there.
I think with Jake at that point,
go ahead, Jake.
I think with Jake at that point, there's a certain amount of fatigue setting in and a certain amount of unfamiliarity with the movements. Right. Whereas not that, I don't think Jake trains that way. So when he comes into that, so what I'm saying, yes, they were wrong. But I don't think it was one of those, like Matt says, an intentional, no integrity thing. I think it was a case of he just, he needed to see himself in a video or in a mirror.
Yeah, Jake's going to come back and he's going to do so much. But he did well.
But I also can't. But I also okay. So I'm going to give you another great example that you're going to love. Okay, so I got sent a Murph world record the other day. And he said, my friend did this. He's not on social. Can you help, blow it up? And I'm just like, eye roll as I usually do, right? And I start watching it, and push-ups look pretty good, and pull-ups look pretty good, and squats were fucking garbage. Okay. Garbage. And it's like, yeah, but still, isn't that pretty good? And it's like, no. I said to my friend who's a runner, I said, it would be like if I said to you, here's a guy that you've never heard of that's as fast as Kipchoge. Getting the Murph world record is your Hunter or your Alec or you're a top CrossFitter. You can't just do it. So to say to me that, well, if your form was a little bit worse, the timing, it's like, no, you've got to do the work. That's the whole point, is the whole machine has to. I'm not doubting he's an elite athlete. I'm saying that I appreciate what you're saying, but it doesn't really hold water for me, because the whole point is if your ass is to grass on wall balls versus it's not, your time doesn't matter to me. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get that. I mean, it's I think at the moment to us, it was like, yeah, the standard needed to be that little bit better across the race. Me looking at it individual, like he got no reps a lot. Maybe he could have been stopped at times. As a whole, if you were to watch his race, you'd be like, he's smoking everyone. And yet a little bit more extension on that. And yeah, I agree. I think we need to hold the elite athletes to even higher account. And that's what we do now, is when we actually have spoke to Ian, and we'll speak to yourself and stuff when we're in the States even more, and say, right, we need to, when we get, 1,000 athletes sign up, we need to identify who all the elites are. I was speaking to Darren Forder. He turned around and said, I think this is going to be the most entertaining fitness race in the world, because it was. Watching Dave and Jake, you can see where they are on every run. So you see that exactly where they are. You see every labor. You can see everything in the stadium. So you don't miss any moment of it. You see every rep that they do and every pace that they do, right? So it's got the potential to be one of the most exciting fitness racing, viewership experience there is. So we need to get these elite athletes into the same waves, but we also need to, treat them with a harsher standard, and that's true worldwide. But I would say that although we can look back and say, you know what, there should have been some harsher standards there, I think it's clear that he is the dominating world champion right now. There's no doubt that there's going to be
a world champion when you haven't had a world championship yet. How is he the world champion?
I think he means world record holder.
Oh, so world record holder.
Well,
sorry.
He also used the phrase world champion, or the doubles guy said they were the world champions. I was like, you haven't had a championship yet.
Well, yeah, I think what people are saying is I think what they're doing is maybe it's the misrepresentation of it. But when they're saying they're the world record holder, they just call themselves world champion, aren't they?
Right. That's like the Hunter. It's like the Hunter method of world. Cheryl, I know you've been taking notes. What do you have to add?
The only thing I have to add is I will agree that I do think fatigue sets in and people don't know that they're not extending and that those kinds of things are happening. I really do appreciate the fact that you see the difference between an elite program and an age group program, and that there have to be more resources put toward that. I will just say, I remember watching, I was filming B-roll for a DEKA Fit elite event where I was there watching Yancey give instructions to the elites prior to their race. This was pre Dave Claxton, where he was the one giving them the instructions. And he said, I know what you guys do. You're going to cut corners wherever you possibly can. Like, their job is to go as fast as they can. And so I do think that there is another layer to elites that sometimes we need to appreciate, is that if they're going to get away with it, they will get away with it, right? And so to have that extra judging, to make sure that you're separating that out. And I love the idea of you just stopping them. I think that if we were to do that more often, I think that there would not only be a message sent, but I do think that it breaks their rhythm enough that they're not going to want to tolerate that.
Yeah. I mean, I think if it was me and I said, extend more up, and they didn't, at some point I would say, I've now stopped counting. So you can keep lifting, but I'm not counting. And they're going to be like, what? Be like, I'm not counting right now. Then, because I don't, we don't want to physically touch them. And I don't know how you actually get someone to stop, but you'll figure that out. Maybe Dave, how would you roll that out, Dave, if you wanted to get someone to stop? Because that's what I would say. I would say, I'm not counting right now. And they would be like, what do you mean? What do you mean? I'm like, well, I've stopped counting.
Yeah, it's not how would I, it's how have I, because I've had to do it more than a couple times.
Okay, so how do you do it? How do you do it?
Honestly, I just tell them, whoa, you're way off. Stop. This is what we need to do. And that's it, right? Like, and to be honest, my wife she's done it way more than me. She gets really on them. But it's I think, Jay, you're absolutely right. You need to just sometimes, they're so far off, you need to completely go, whoa. And then this is what I want. show them, and then go
Yeah.
at it. You know, so but
And I
they
think
should the elites should know that going in, right?
Yeah.
They that's their responsibility, not
But they're
yours. not the
going, they are
judges.
not going to hold themselves to a standard if you're going to let them get away with it.
No. Well, we find that we know that basically, because what people always said was it's education, it's this, but it's actually is more confidence than anything. And that's what the head judges are there for, because it's often the men. We have had some women that do it as well, but often the elite men can get not aggressive, but especially the pairs. So when someone says that's not right, especially on the snatch, they'll answer back and they'll shout back and say what they'll say no rep, and they'll go, what's wrong with that? Like, because they're stressed, they're not bad people. It's like I felt that way where some of them, I get to snatch, I'm the race director, they know me, I'm on the snatch, and some of them will start talking to me, like, because I've been talking to them before, and I'm like, I can't touch you right now, like, because you're absolutely hanging, and they get aggressive and they're moving fast, and not aggressive in a violent way, in a way that they're just pumped and they're wanting to go. And to stop someone does take a lot of confidence, and that's why we're going to have head judges that we headhunt them essentially. So they have to do so many judging, and then we don't just say, oh, volunteer to be a head judge or you get paid. We actually say, we think you're good enough to be a head judge, and then they get paid for the day as well. Obviously, the normal judges get paid as well.
But by the way, just tell people about that, because that's not normal over here. So tell people what that means, get paid. You talked about money earlier, investing $10,000. What is a regular judge get for an 8-hour shift, or what are the amount of hours? What do they get? And then what does a head judge get?
So the judges on a day in the UK is they turn up at 8 a.m. The waves start at 9 a.m. Then they judge between 9 a.m. and 12. Then they have an hour lunch break where we fully feed them, pizza, coffee, everything like that. And then they do from 1 o'clock till 4 o'clock, which it runs on till just before 5, which is then pairs and relays. So they then do another sort of 3 hours of work, so 3 hours in the morning of judging, 3 hours in the afternoon. The normal judges get paid £60 British, which we actually do it as a voucher, but then we feed them, they get a t-shirt, they get a goodie bag. So it adds to about £100 British. And then the head judges do the same thing, but they act as a head judge, but they get £200. So about $250. And then we aim, what we want as a gold standard next year is to have 12 head judges and 60 what we call volunteers, but they are getting.
And I think that's great, because listen, nobody's going to have 1,000 all-stars, right? I know you said you had 1,000 people in the database, but if you've got 12,
over 500,
if you've got 12 pretty good judges, and if you've got 12 pretty good judges and one all-star head judge for each section, that will be probably the one that actually re-coaches and tells them, hey, you really got to just stop. I think that solves the problem. I don't expect you to have that person in every single lane. So
well, we realize that the normal judges that have the clicker counters, when you're counting 60 snatches, it's actually very hard to then critique form. Not really hard, but it's harder than you might think.
Do you use clickers, or do you use boards? What okay.
Clickers.
Have you seen the boards, by the way? Because they did boards in when I was in Scotland, and it was amazing.
What do the boards do?
You can just tap on it.
Okay. No, these you just click, so I don't.
But it's an iPad that keeps it, so then everybody's got one for that person. It's pretty cool. Anyway,
really? No, we have a whole box of clicker counters, so judges have them, and
we do the same at DEKA. Box of clickers.
Yeah, and it works, and it's audible. It's click, click, click.
But they have this is the kind where they have the judge follow the person throughout, which I think is
that's different.
We don't do that. Yeah. But one thing we do on the elites as well, actually, which I thought was quite a good idea, was when they get assigned a head judge, right? So we get someone that we go, look, this person's elite, they're going to be going for a world record, and we assign them someone, but we don't assign them for the race. They get assigned, they do 2 labors on them and then another judge. So if it was Jacob and Dave, and say we had, John and Paul that were the judges, John would do the first 2 labors, then Paul, then John, then Paul, then John. So no one can say my judge was harsher, because the head judges swap over as well. So you don't get assigned a judge and you're like, my judge was a hard ass. You actually get cycled through different judges, which are head judges. But we do think it's key that you have, essentially, we almost see them as counting judges. And then we see them as like head judges that focus. They're the ones that should be sort of zoning in on someone and saying, they're not extending, stop them reps, stop counting, don't count that one, take a no rep. And then the idea is what we also have then, we have half-day judges that just get paid half what the full-day judges do, just because not everyone do it. Then we have what we call flexible judges, which are competitors that then get a free T-shirt and a goodie bag and they just basically help out just to deload.
So the
and
half
it just helps
judges,
us.
they're not like really
They do a
short.
half day.
They're not like really short. They're not like a half judge.
No, but we could bring it in. But
Like Peter
That's me.
Dinklage isn't a half judge,
Wait,
right? He's
I'm
like,
a half
no,
judge.
no.
Dave, would you head judge for 200 British pounds?
I think that's fair. I think that's very reasonable. I mean, I look at what, and I mean, I just throw it out. I believe HYROX is right on. It's right on par with HYROX, if not, if not a bit more.
One thing we would say as well, we're a shorter day, so you're all done by 5 o'clock.
Right,
Yeah.
but you're gonna start getting 1,000 people through, so you're gonna have to extend those days.
No.
If you got more judges, you just increase the lanes.
Yeah, well, we just realized we just need a little bit more kit on the last few labors, and we can scale it right up. So the day is exactly the same length, and honestly, everyone will tell you it's the easiest day. Like it's a comfortable. It's not a stressful day. You're out on the track.
Well,
it's a nice day.
until some asshole on the internet calls you out, it's an easy day.
Exactly that. So it's a nice day. It's not too long of a day. And also, by the way, we have what's called like the red shirts, which are the staff. And obviously, so someone like Dave wouldn't be head judge. He would be like head of the judges. So you have, I know that like chief judge essentially.
Like a Paul Gillam.
And they get paid £400. They get paid £400 for the day, but they're expected to be there from 6 a.m. till 6 p.m. Right. So they help set up, they help set down, and then they would manage all the judges, make sure all the judges. So basically, it's key. We found it's key that what we've had feedback from a lot of events is people can't go to the toilet when they want, they can't eat when they want, they can't get snacks, water. They might feel like that. So we basically just said that we basically make sure that the judges are sort of like VIPs. Because we always, as I said to you from the start, judging is always going to be the scaling issue. Standards are always going to be the issue. If we're getting criticized, it's going to be standards. It's going to be a video gets leaked and someone like Hiller goes, look how pathetic this is. And it's like, you've put all that work in to get like 1 million races a year, but it's right. And in all honesty, when you put that, some of the people were like, didn't like it because they were like, we're trying to work really hard. But I was like, it's good press. It's like, because fitness racing involves a bit of bad standards, and we want to eradicate, but we all know you'll never eradicate poor standards on fitness racing. There's always going to be people that fall through the net, someone cheats in some way, and that's sport. And what our job is to constantly work against that, whilst the influencers make videos and shit talk. It's all good for me.
If you watch the wall balls from the 2021 HYROX World Champs, I'm sure they are vastly different from what they look like now, right? And to those that may say Matt is only out for clicks, Matt only did it for engagement or whatnot, I could spend a considerable more time showing bad reps. There are bad reps in every race. Again, I only showed 2 seconds of that video, right? Or maybe 11 seconds all told. And what I've learned is people don't like being spoken ill about, and that's okay. That's just kind of the way it goes. I had a guy from Spartan, I remember, tell me once, because we posted something about them, and he's like, why do you spend so much time talking shit about us? I said, what do you mean? He said, half the time. And I said, great, show me 50% of my posts, 50% of my Instagram, 50% of my podcast where I shit talk Spartan. Like, it's just not, it just feels that way when it's you. And so I know I hurt some people's feelings this weekend. And here's the deal. I'm always going to call it like I see it. And you may not always like it. And trust me, I could spend way more time on negative, right? Listen, I feel the need to say this, even though I think a lot of people listening know this, but I already knew I wasn't Hiller, right? Like, I clearly knew it. But when I really knew it was that time specifically where I shared that video of that older person as a joke because I thought it was funny, and he went crazy, right, with it, and ha, and they wouldn't stop, and I was like, oh, this is the difference. I'm going to call out elites. I'm going to call out when it matters and people say they're setting records. I'm not going to call out a 60-year-old who's not that much older than me, by the way, a 60-year-old. So there's that. What anything else we want to say, Jay, before we let you go? Because I think we covered it all.
No, I would just say that obviously, because I've got the American audience there, is we I'm going to call them out a little bit, that we launched a race in New Zealand a couple of weeks ago, and we sold 500 tickets, and we're starting to get a lot of athletes through. Germany's selling out every race, and we've got Austria, we're taking on France, South Africa. I think that when we had the World Championships, because America's, they're big on DEKA, and obviously they're big on HYROX, and we're Brandon, Lauren, Matt, all doing a great job. Brandon's going to have a US champs on the 23rd. You know, we're going to announce lots of stuff. Might not be I'll let him announce it, but there's going to be a US champs. But I think when it comes to the world champs, to get to the world champs, you've got to qualify through a deadly dozen. You don't get invited. The invitationals, which will be in Dubai next year, will invite all the top athletes and try and get huge prize money. So there's going to be prize money next year at the world champs. And I would say that because America's the slowest market so far, because it's the diamond, and you know, also Canada, they're the biggest markets, and there's a sort of the markets we really need, and it's the markets you really want. But I think the UK is going to dominate, because we're doing 24 like sold out races next year, like 25,000 athletes, and I think we're going to dominate. So I'm calling out, like, I think the UK athletes are going to dominate, and like I say, it's seeing whether we'll put the prize money up. We'll see if there's any sort of stateside athletes that can challenge Dave. Like we'll make sure that we get the judges. So at a championship race, we're going to have double the judges that we need. But yeah, that's all I'd like to say, is that I think the UK is going to dominate.
All right.
I don't think I can argue with him.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna argue and say that Jay is very smart and knows how to get the Americans riled up so he gets more registration. So I'm not sure he believes it, but he might half believe it.
I do believe. I think just because I'm not even that good, right? And I think I'm going to beat some of the elite guys because they're not doing enough. Because one guy said HYROX is like a running race disguised as HYROX, because you just got to be such a good runner. And CrossFit, obviously, you've got to be crazy strong. Them guys are beasts, you know, men and women. Like, they're just, you know, they deserve to be called like the fittest in the world, right? CrossFit's loads of strength. HYROX is load of running. Deadly Dozens, this one in the middle that is the most underestimated race in the world. And I think it's going to catch the elites out. And the people that are doing lots of it, I think elites are going to be beat by good people that do a lot of.
I will say I can't think of any other race that requires more muscular endurance.
Yeah.
Well,
sheer muscular endurance.
There's somebody I had a call today with that might argue with that. But all right. Good talking to you, Jay. See you later, buddy.
I'll see you later. Cheers, guys. Really appreciate it.
Nice job.
Oh, shit. I almost hit recording stop. Holy shit. See you later, buddy.
See you later.
Bad. Okay, there he goes.
Nice.
There's one thing that Jay can definitely take away from this.
What?
He has already established a very loyal fan base.
Right.
Because it's the loyal fan base that feel they got kicked in the gut.
Right. But like I said, since day one, he's been open. And so we've seen it. We've seen it in OCR, and we've seen it in a lot of places where it's like you dare call someone out and you must be the bad guy. And I know that some people feel that way, but he's from day one has been like, we know the judging isn't there. We got to get it better. We got to get it better. He's clearly very protective of these athletes, and we think they're going to beat the Elite 15 and all the rest of it. You don't think American Elite 15 or bubbling under Elite 15 athletes wouldn't do well at this race?
I think they do great.
Kat Fossbender over there, much less anybody else. I think she's going to mop the floor.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think they do great, but you got to get the buy-in first. And it's almost like he says, I mean, you exactly, his statement's meant to drag some out to poke the bear a bit. And hopefully it does work. I would love to see it. But what, you do have to leave? No, I said I do believe.
Oh, okay.
That that the people that have been doing it now should not be underestimated either. They shouldn't be taken for granted.
Well, it's a different skill set, right? That muscular endurance is totally different than what we're working on the other ends, like he's saying. I will say I appreciate his standard of excellence. Like, he really is trying to make this as good as it can be. And that, I think, is just going to pay off handsomely for him. You know, I think people are going to really trust this race if he can pull off what he wants to pull off. And I think people get frustrated with HYROX, frustrated with DEKA on their own ways. It doesn't sound like people are getting frustrated with this guy, you know, because he keeps solving the problems.
He keeps solving the problems. He's the face of the brand without putting himself out too much, because that's another thing that we've seen people do, is make it about them. He is this hard to miss, large, you know, redheaded man, but he lets the event speak for itself and isn't always out front with it. He lets people shine. I think, listen, early on, I think we had him on like before the first
yeah.
race even, and we were all like, okay, whatever, dude. Because again, we've seen so many people talk the talk, but when he says we want to be, 20 countries and 1 million people, I'm like, I think he'll probably get there. You know what I mean?
Working on it, yeah. Look, he
Right.
needs to start working the southern United States during the winter. You know what I mean? Like they really could spread out and get some things going.
Yeah, well, I think the issue is, I think if he could afford, and he's just not there yet, like a real like full-time American person, right? Because Mark and
Yeah.
Lauren have other jobs, and Brandon down in Texas has his own stuff going on.
Right.
And I know they had this first event in New York, which wasn't that big of a success. And like we all know it's great. It's just not out there. We just, having the Fozzie Fits do it and more people do it, then it's like, oh, this thing's actually really cool, because it is a different skill set, especially if you have done. That's the other thing, is people in England, like they've done 20 HYROXes and now they can bounce up and down the country and doing these, whereas here they can't as much, because there's one in Chicago in October.
Yeah, right. So, well, let's hope for a slow build on them. I'm rooting for him. I like it.
Have you done a strong yet or not? Have you done a deadly strong, Cheryl, or no?
I haven't done a single deadly event.
Dave, have you?
No, reason being, the only thing close to us has actually been Pure Impact has put on a couple, but every time they've done it, I've been away. So my calendar just has a cost, because I'd love to go try it. I've always been intrigued by it. I mean, I was rooting for him from day one when as soon as he said we're going to be on a 400-meter track. I'm like, finally, someone fucking listened or figured it out, put the dots together, right? So
why don't you just rip a strong in your spare time though, Dave? Because that would be like you as well.
I might.
I'm being serious. Like most people don't, but
I know. But like I said, anytime I have spare time, I've been kind of testing my own thing. So, so it's yeah. But I do want to do it, and I want to do it as a group anyway. I want to go through it as a group and get
do the whole event. Yeah. Dave, you have done some good tweaks to HTX. I will say. I don't know if you're ready to launch that, but I'm very happy with them.
Yeah, not official yet, but it everybody that's tested so far has been like, yeah, that's better. That's better.
Yep.
So we'll have to make Matt rewrite an article.
Rewrite the article?
No, just a couple of
edits.
What's changed on it?
So what we're playing with, and again, this is not official, but it probably will be. The burpees over the dumbbells, I think, will be coming burpee deadlifts, and the walking lunges will just be forward lunges.
Why? So just explain why.
The burpees over, because everybody would do different reps on it, it didn't really fit in with everything, where the more weight, less reps. So now it fits in with that, because you're doing a burpee deadlift. So now you're actually deadlifting. So it fits in more with that. And the forward lunges instead of the walking lunges, believe it or not, when you do it, and when I've been watching, it's actually been easier to judge, especially on a camera. And also now you can do the 0.0, so the no running, pretty much in like a 6x6 square foot spot, and that's all the space you need. So
even if you're doing time, you can do this workout.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. You could do it in your prison cell if you got a couple of dumbbells.
Okay.
I wonder if I could set that up. I got to talk to my buddy.
Go for it. All right. Well, Cheryl did a competition this weekend. Did a gym event.
Yeah, I did a DEKA mile.
Did you do it? Did you do it at the where did you do it?
I did it at Camp Rhino.
Okay. That's what I was trying to think of, Camp Rhino.
Former home of Lauren Weeks and Anthony Parasino. Their spirits always linger.
Daniel Brandon was there for a short time.
It's just it's a really, I love that gym. And the people who have been running it lately, like the people who are running the events now are just nailing it. This was exactly what a DEKA mile is supposed to be. We got there, the setup was beautiful. The shirts were stacked nicely in according to size. The shirts are much better quality this year. I picked one up. Sometimes I don't, but I picked one up. Excellent shirts. The medals, like they started on time. You know, if we signed up for a wave time, that's when we went. I will say I need to try some of the deadly gym events, because right now I'm fully convinced that there is no better gym event than a DEKA mile. I just think it's just the perfect combination of and it's so simple. Everybody understands it. It's, you know, it's really, really well set up. It's really, really easy to understand. I was running in a heat with a guy who was just coming back from a bunch of PT, and he had his first DEKA mile. He had done like a 50-minute DEKA, and so he was trying to beat his 50-minute time, right? And just working harder than anybody else in the room. And it's just so perfect for that, right? Like it really does tick all the boxes for those of us who are more experienced and have done it for a really long time and are just there to qualify for world championships. And then this guy who's just trying to see if he can just be a little bit better, right? It just warmed my heart, you know. It just was. It was a good day. It was a really good day.
How hot was it?
It was like 90 degrees, and it was humid. We've got monsoons coming through right now, so it was horrible. I got my second slowest time ever. It was just terrible.
How were your spirits, though?
You know, there's something to be said about just being there. I was at least smart enough to sign up for the early wave because it was going to be like 107 that day, and other people are like signing up for 11 o'clock, and I don't know what they were thinking. So I'm there at 7:30 in the morning for my start wave, and there's just a handful of people there, and yet the guys are just the guys that are running it, and then just a few of the other people sort of helping out around there are all lined up along the course, and I just don't want to disappoint them, right? Like I have to keep moving. I have to keep at it. And I told Dave, you know, the reps I did, I thought about him the whole time. Like I snapped those burpees. I did the best I could, just really, really wanting to not disappoint anybody or, you know, let anybody down. And so it's just so much better to do it not as a workout.
I'm saying, so did you enjoy yourself? Like, I know you can be hard on yourself if you don't get one of your better times. That's why I was asking.
I knew that I wasn't going to get a good time, but I will say I'm still kind of smarting from Chicago, right? And just how things have not been good this year. And I'm tired of not doing well. I'm tired of not, like I hadn't really trained for it. I wasn't really prepared for it. You can tell a difference. I don't know if you can tell a difference when you're like sharp and ready and when you're just getting it done. And I was not sharp and ready. And I hate feeling like that. I'm tired of that. Tired of feeling that way.
Did you still qualify though?
Probably. I haven't even looked at my time. I don't even care.
Wow. Doesn't even care. I have to look.
I just can't care about times right now.
Okay. All right. I'm not going to look then. Not even going to look.
I'll look it up later for you, Sharon. I'll let you know, but I won't tell you your time.
Look, I'm assuming I'm in probably the top 15. I would not be surprised.
Right, because old people are slow.
Exactly. Yeah, no, the problem is they aren't. So
I know, not anymore.
No, not anymore. I will say I wasn't going to run DEKA in Austin next week, but I think what I've decided is I'm going to sign up, but I just don't think I'm going to take my chip with me.
Okay.
I think I'm just going to try to do it for fun, right?
Okay. And that's the only way to do it, because otherwise you'll push, you think, like.
Otherwise, I'm going to be worried about how I stack up, and I'm tired of worrying about that right now. Okay. I just want to go back to just pushing myself and just trying my best.
All right. So listen, if that's what you want, as your friends, as your buddies on this call, we support you. Don't let someone talk you into it otherwise, because you answer somebody, be like, oh, just put your chip on and test yourself. Come on. So don't do it. Hold your ground, have boundaries, just go. And truly
I'm going to hand my chip to my daughter. And honestly,
there you go.
Nobody pays attention to me at DEKA.
Yeah, that's the same. I was going to say, just give it to it like a local dog, and they can run off, and
Yeah, she'll just hand it to the people at the finish line, so that
I'm going to make the MC like hype up. You're on the start line. Cheryl Snow is in the house.
Watch her walk
for a world record.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, watch her walk. Anyway, I think I just want to remember that it's fun to do this.
I agree with you, and that's why sometimes. I like to do events that I don't give a shit about. I'll just go to things I don't care. Like Ryan and I have it's borderline CrossFit competition coming up. And like, we're probably going to get smoked, but who cares? We're going to go have fun, right? It's some stuff we like to do. It's like one of the things we have to do is a max clean and front squat. And we have 7 minutes to do it. I'm like, I'm going to get dusted by 14-year-old girls.
Aren't you the one that says no competition should have a max one map Rex in it. Is that you?
Yeah,
Who says that?
exactly. This is a CrossFit competition. I don't care, right?
Yeah.
I'm going for fun, and that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you have, in order to offset these events that we care about and that we work towards, and that really, really get to us mentally. Sometimes I think you need to go out and just do ones that are just completely out of your wheelhouse, and just to have fun. Like when Lauren Rantala went and did that powerlifting competition.
I know that really impressed me. I really like that.
And get whipped for fun. I used to, in martial arts, I used to go and I used to dabble in different martial arts that I have no background in, and just so I could go be the white belt for the day. Right. And just purely enjoy it. So yeah, sometimes you got to do that.
I think that I think these new global leaderboards and these new, qualifying for world championships is really, really, well, I think Lauren Rantala was even talking about that she was just tired of everybody just talking about that, and that we need to remember that we used to just do this because we wanted to just kind of celebrate our fitness and just have a good time that day, and not have it be so important. And so I have decided this year, I've just got to start just relaxing. I can always come back to that, the gauntlet again and worry about world champs and that sort of thing. But I think there are more important things to pay attention to. So yeah, I know this LT games that's coming up, that is not in my wheelhouse.
So explain it to me, because I have not had a chance.
I tell you anything.
Like 97
Nobody
stations.
knows. Matt won't tell anybody. He's just given me enough information to make me panic and start working on it.
Yeah, because there's like 8,000 different stations, right?
So here's what I can tell you. They stole your idea. It is choose your own adventure.
Okay.
They didn't steal it. I'm sure they already thought of it. But it is, and I can tell you one of the first things he said to me, and again, be what you say you're going to be, right? Deliver on what you're going to deliver on. I think I'm going to make a television analogy for you. It's great to watch a show with like high production values and deep meanings, like a Severance, right? You're like, holy shit, that's amazing. It's also sometimes fun to watch what my wife likes to watch, these really lame cop shows like Fire Country and Rescue 911. When a show thinks it's Severance, but it's actually not good at all, that's where you get mad. You're like, wait, are you high concept or are you garbage? Like you're trying to be both and you can't. Like pick a lane, right? So in the old OCR days, right? The old OCR days, this is going to be the toughest day in your life, but bring the kids, right? It's like, so I asked this gentleman, is this for, everyday people? And he said, no. And you've got to be a fitness person. This is going to be a lot of volume. Okay. A lot of volume. So yeah. I can tell you that. And I can tell you that it's the 17 stations. It's actually probably 9 with some repeating, right? Some running and rowing and like some of those repeat.
Well,
and a lot of volume, but it's
perspective. HYROX has 16 stations.
If you kind of want to think of it that way, sure.
It is. No, I do. I think of it that way, right? You've got 16 steps to get done with that. This has 17. I actually don't feel like it's much different. It's just different stuff.
So a week from now, when I can put out that interview and it's all out there because they want to do their big thing. But again, the fact that he was able to admit, like, I'm not, dude, I'm there. The lowest weight, I will not be able to finish this workout. Like, I just won't.
Matt, I don't even think the lowest women's weight you currently would be able to do. Have you seen the shoulder to overhead weight?
Oh, you're not supposed to be. I got to bleep that out now.
Okay,
I got to bleep that out. No, it's fine.
Bleep.
Anyway, we'll talk more about it later.
Why won't they tell us?
Well, because they're doing their big announcement. They're just, it's their big. Lifetime's a big company and they've got all these plans and they've got to be seen by 10 different people. And at some point they'll release it. And that date will be next week.
But can you tell me why, if they want people to come to this event, they're not even telling us what the event is?
Because they are in a week. That's what I can tell you.
It's not enough time.
Well, I don't think they're expecting a sellout. I think they want a couple hundred folks, and I think that's what they'll get.
Okay.
And that's all I'll say for now.
All right, I'll stop pushing you on it.
Yeah, get off my back, lady. Jeez Louise. Trust me, I'm the same way. I'm like, why don't you have a bigger ramp? I've been in conversations with them since the spring. I've been on the, so I'm with you. I'm just telling you what's happening. So anyway.
But are we going?
Well, you and I are definitely going, and
Okay.
and one of us is going to complete the workout, and one of us is going to film the other person completing the workout.
Are we going to flip a coin?
I think my goal should be, all right, let's move on. Let's move on. Let's move on to tickets went on sale today for Atlanta, pre-sale. I am a member of RMR Training Camp. I got a link. I went to go sign up for that race. There was no waiting room and all categories were available. And when I checked a couple of hours later, it was still the same thing. So let's check it now.
Yeah.
So is it Atlanta is another bad timing situation where people, like last time it was they all signed up for Miami and then they waited too long. And now this time they already signed up for Boston and New York, or sorry, Boston and Canada. And now it's only a couple months away. And it's going to be the same in other races, or do we think that the other races are going to sell out are going to sell out really fast?
Has Boston sold out?
I think Boston was at least close, though. This was like no categories were sold out today.
Yeah, but Boston's had some time, though.
No, that's what I mean. I mean, Boston's still open, and it's had weeks and weeks. So are we slowing down? Is everybody kind of calming down? They know that there's availability. People aren't rushing to these races anymore, is what I'm wondering.
Yeah, there's no sold out. There's nothing sold out from Atlanta yet. And on the pre-sale day, I can't remember. We know on the day it's definitely sold out. Toronto wasn't it? Because we were all dying to get tickets. But I can't remember if the pre-sale sold out like within an hour.
In Toronto?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was a gong show. It was a mess.
Right.
Yeah.
I think they did have link issues then too. Not that that's an excuse.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have link issues.
It was a gong show. It was
But
a mess.
if you,
it sold out instantly.
Right. So Atlanta did not. So yeah, what do we think, guys? Here on day one.
What do we think is happening?
Yeah, do we think this is just Atlanta, or do we think Chicago and Anaheim will go the same way? Like probably sell out eventually, but not right away. Dave.
Oh, I thought Cheryl had her thinking face on. I thought she was.
Dave said about 6 months ago. Dave said 18 months before we start to slow down. Right? That's what you said 6 months ago.
I do have to wonder.
Burst. The sky is falling. Everything is burning.
That's what I'm
Sell
asking.
your HYROX shoes now.
That's what I'm
It
saying.
felt like it though.
No.
It felt like we weren't going to get a ticket this year because Toronto dropped, and then what was it, Dallas? And Dallas was pretty quick to go. And it kind of felt like, oh great, we're going to be the UK where you're not going to be able to plan to be able to go to a race. And now it seems like after Boston, now it seems like things are kind of calming down. I was making that face, Dave, because I was looking to see what tickets were still open for Boston.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so I think maybe it's an East Coast thing. The fact that we've already got, an East Coast race there. I know that it's farther north, but I don't know. It just makes me wonder if as soon as they start heading West Coast, it's going to be an issue. I actually am not worried. I'm going to try to get Anaheim this week. See if I can get Anaheim. And I'm not actually super worried about that. I'm worried about Phoenix. I think Phoenix is going to go quick. I think everybody's just waiting for Phoenix.
Because it's a major, because it's a stadium, both.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's just everything.
It's got draw, and it's Phoenix. I that's somewhere I'd like to go. Right. I think personally, what it is this timing thing. For example, for us, right? Traveling here seems to be much more difficult than traveling in Europe. You need more time to prepare. You need more time for this, more time for that. So when you're releasing, and then people like with the Chicago coming up to, we're not even sure what's happening. So people can't plan their schedules. So now all of a sudden you're like, okay, well, we've read it. Now we're going to release this one when's Atlanta? In a month, 2 months?
Halloween.
Okay, great. That's not enough time for me to plan a trip.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I heard? You know what I heard when it comes to travel? I heard nothing beats a Jet2 holiday.
That's true. And we hear that a lot. But yeah, so I think, and then combine that with all the travelers that are doing this already have other events booked that were for sale earlier in the year. And now they're like, okay, well, I don't have the means to travel to another one. So they're going to be very dependent on the local community. And the local community is not going to sell out as fast as the diehards that travel everywhere. So I think it's just a matter of realistically poor timing on releasing ticket sales. And I think you got to let people have more time to plan their calendar, or you can end up with some duds.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's a data point, right? It's not.
Yeah, it could be a combination of a lot of things.
Yeah, but it is interesting though, because again, I just think I'm going to say this out loud. I think they don't understand the American market. I think they were I them, right? I would invest, just like I said to Jason, find an American, right, in marketing, in events, whatever, and pay them a big salary to go, hey, make this thing happen. And they've got a nice ramp. It's not like 4 years ago where, E-Rock and then Lauren and Mark are knocking on doors going, hey, here's what HYROX is. So at least they've got the foundation is built, right? It's like those neighborhoods you drive by and the foundations are all there, but they haven't built the houses yet. The foundation's there, and they just need to hire an American. No offense to the many fine people working at HYROX right now who are trying to do America, but that's what you need. You need somebody that knows the country inside and out, and like just the things that it's like I talked about this at World's Toughest. There are things you don't know, right? There's just like institutional knowledge, like, oh, Boston is not like New York for these reasons, but it's not like this city. Just the stuff from fucking living here. So hire an American, go ham, and figure out a way to build this thing.
And low key, Halloween, bad weekend to do it.
I don't know. People always race on Halloween. I feel like.
I don't know, man. Like Halloween, like if I still had my kids, like my kids were still young, I wouldn't be doing, because it'd probably be they're doing the stuff on Halloween. Then I got parties.
But I feel like I feel like I've been to 5Ks, marathons, Spartan races. People dress up for it. People will certainly dress up for this, for HYROX.
Who's traveling for it, or is it just local community?
That's a great question.
And here's the thing too. Are they $200 just to do?
And are they just in the mornings and then you've got the rest of your day to do Halloween? This HYROX thing, it's a multi-day commitment usually.
That's actually a good point about the traveling. Yeah, because if you're happening single 20s, 30s, yeah, you can travel. If you have kids, you're probably not going to travel that weekend. That's actually a good point. I will be having a shakeout run on that Friday Halloween shakeout run. I don't know if Tia's coming again. If Tia comes, it'll be a sellout. If it's not, it might just be me and Clayton and a few friends. Speaking of which, I sent Clayton the receipt for the ticket, and I said, hey, it's $200 a piece. And he goes, I thought doubles meant I would pay less than I paid for my singles. I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way. Relay, you'll pay less. I said, listen, I did the flex and I bought the picture, so you owe me $170, right? But he did not expect to pay that much. So I guess I'm so used to it, I didn't think twice, because HYROX is so fucking expensive. But yeah, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, It is. And do you need to know, when you sign up for your doubles partner, you have to have all their information and input that to get the ticket?
You could put anybody, you could put yourself twice, because you do have that flex option. But in this case, I put him. But yeah, if at some point one of us needs to drop, because I paid the $35, I can easily change it.
Just one time, though?
As far as I know.
Okay. So you can't be too wishy-washy about this. Keep your friends for a couple months.
But I think most people don't have more than one dropout. I suppose there's a case where like some person gets hurt and then another friend gets hurt, but you're probably pretty good if you do that. It should be unlimited. I think if you're bothering to pay for the flex, why not make it unlimited?
Right.
I think the thing that pisses me off with the flex is for teams, for relays.
Well, that's a whole
one person.
That's crazy.
One person, one time. I'm like, that's fucking bullshit.
No, that doesn't work. Yeah.
That's crazy. So I'm guessing neither of you are coming to Atlanta.
No.
Well, no, because I'm going to see you in Minneapolis the week before. That's way too much. It's a lot of Matt.
See, that's another reason, Cheryl. Sorry, it's another reason I can't do the lifetime games, or at least not the complete lifetime games. I will participate in it to some extent. I just won't do all the reps. Speaking of which, that was one of the questions.
How many reps?
What's that?
He wanted to know how many.
Dave,
how many reps?
Dave, offline, I might send you the reps.
4,500 reps, Dave. It's a lot.
However,
86 stations.
What was I going to say?
Dr. Rhino.
No, we got you distracted. You and I were gonna do doubles in Atlanta.
No. I said I said to Wes, when I messaged him and I said, this is a few weeks ago, I said, is there doubles? And his response was nowhere to hide. Like, it's just you and all that work, which
That's a good response.
so there you go. So there are definitely some other people who I won't mention, some athletes who are eyeballing it, who have gotten some of the workouts and are like, ooh, I want to go. And so it's gonna be interesting to see who the stars of this race are, right? How it differs from the same way he talked about deadly being different, right? Different set of, it's not just, hey, are you super fast and kind of strong, right?
Yes. I think it's going to be a great addition. I think all of this stuff, now we're starting to get some, we're starting to loosen some things up, right? Where it's not just 2 races you have to choose from, but you have other things and other people are going to have skill sets. But I am getting really tired of all the secrecy around this LT stuff. Like, you're not even saying which athletes want to go now. It's like, come on.
Well, if somebody DMs me and I don't have their permission, I can ask them.
I know, but it just feels like, oh my gosh, are we just going to talk around this for another month or something?
Just a week. Just a week. I wouldn't have even brought it up at all if it wasn't going to be next week. I wouldn't listen. I'm the guy who hates the coming soon, right? I always get on Spartan and all these people who always do it. I almost never do it. Today I did it because it was fun to show a quick 5 seconds of my chat with Wes because it was a fun chat. So anyway.
Okay, so next week's show on this, we'll be able to talk about it?
I think if we wait till Wednesday, we can, because I think they're releasing it on Tuesday. Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
Speaking of workouts, though, did we ever talk about Lauren's test? Did we ever talk about the HYROX Conditioning Test, aka the HCT?
We didn't. I like that.
Let's bring it up. Shall we bring up a shared screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Lauren made this up like this is her baby.
Pretty much.
That's great.
But much like if you work for Google and you invent something at Google, Google owns it. So she works for output. And so just like I think Lauren, I'm just going to say it. I think Lauren's responsible for a lot of the stuff at HYROX 365. But, she left and they kept it. And that's how it goes, right?
Yes.
That is the way of business.
Right. Yes. It's like that line from The Wire, right? The guy who invented the McNuggets is still in the basement, right?
Yes. But we all know.
Shockingly, you might not realize this, but all the stuff I build at work is not mine. They don't let me take it home.
Terrible. So unfair.
Okay. Yeah. So first of all, go listen to that interview with her, because
she's always a good interview.
She's a good interview.
Awesome.
She went to that coaches camp that was like an influencer / coach camp that Red Bull put on.
Yeah.
Very jealous.
I
am.
I was. I don't get FOMO a lot. I had FOMO.
I'm jealous because of where it was. Because
it was Silverstone. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's the shiny cars. It's just the shiny
cars. I'm
a
big auto racing fan. So for me, that's why I don't care about the rest of it. But
okay.
I would have been down with pulling the Formula 1 car. That'd have been cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was bullshit. They didn't invite you, Dave.
I know.
All right, so here we are. Whoop. Whoop. Whoop.
So tiny.
There
we go.
That's what she said. Okay. So are you ready for the interval breakdown, or should we give the description? What's the description first? Hang on. Let me pull this thing up. Oh my goodness. I'm such a boomer.
That's all right. I like the interval breakdown.
Yeah, it's fine.
4 back-to-back time-based intervals using HYROX style movements. Results are tracked in the Output Capture app, ideal for testing baseline conditioning and retesting progress. So before we even go into it, it's scored by how much you do, right? So your total score is total number of reps, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing is an 8-minute max row. So pretty simple. Hop on the rower, work out for 8 minutes, and then 2 minutes rest.
That's a long interval.
Yeah. So my first question would be calories or meters?
Let's see what it says at the bottom. Row meters.
Okay.
Next up, 4 minutes of burpee broad jumps, no rest, right into 4 minutes of lunges. Dave, what do we think about that?
That sounds terrible.
Reverse lunges. Sorry.
Sounds terrible.
Cheryl,
No, that'd be great. I mean, yeah, I mean, this is just raw cardio.
Are
You
they
know,
weighted reverse lunges? That's my question.
they are not.
Well, I don't think so. I think it's just body weight. But I know for me, like 4 minutes of burpee broad jumps. That's a lot of burpee broad jumps.
Well, that's my HYROX station.
I think that's what she said. I think that's what it was kind of based on. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And straight into the reverse.
It's probably not my HYROX station. Maybe it's me and Cheryl together HYROX station. Cheryl, what did we do the burpee broad jumps in?
Probably, yeah, we were probably around 4 minutes.
So there's no rest though between that one, just so people understand.
Yep.
That's a station in itself. That's an 8-minute station unto itself. And I think the point she talked about was it's all 8 minutes. So you start the 8-minute timer, boom, 2 minutes rest, boom, 8-minute timer. Okay.
Yeah. So you're looking at some fried quads.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I had for dinner last night. Then
Rest 2 minutes.
and then 8 minutes max ski. Wow, that's a lot of ski too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you're looking at probably like around 2K ish.
Okay. Rest 2 minutes, and then just a mere 4 minutes of wall balls.
So 2.
And it says HYROX standard wall ball and target. So I assume that's women's weight, women's height, right? And then your score is your total number of reps. Meters plus reps. So you're going to have your score would be, I don't know, 8,000 or 10,000. I don't know. What was your score? What's a good score?
No clue.
So that's what, 28 minutes worth of work?
That sounds about right.
8 times 4 is what?
24.
Well, but it's 3 times
32. 32.
3.
8 times 3 is 24.
And then 4 more minutes.
Yeah. Oh, because 4 more for the wall balls, not 8. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, but then there's the 2-minute rest too.
Yeah.
So in between. So yeah, that's like 32 minutes.
Okay. So what you got 8 minutes on the ski, right?
Yeah. 8 minutes on the row.
8 minutes on the ski, let's call it. And I mean everybody's gonna be different, but let's call it again 2K.
Okay, sure. 2,000.
Yeah, for somebody who's good, yes.
So even call it just for both the rower, because we're rower and ski 2K, 4K, so 4K total for that.
Okay. How many burpee broad jumps in 4 minutes, you think?
Well, I'm imagining you say that's about 80 meters for you. You're probably averaging just over 80, probably about 50.
Yeah, like 45 to 50. Yeah. So
45, 50. Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll say 50 just to make it.
So right now we're up to 2,050. Is that what we're saying?
Exactly. And then how many reverse lunges do you think?
In 4 minutes?
Yeah.
No
Because
weight.
it takes us about a minute to do 30 in DEKA, right?
Yeah, but you're more fatigued, right? But you're doing no weight. So if you went still with a 30 per minute and times 4, right?
120.
120.
Okay.
These are very rough numbers, people.
Yes, they are. And then how many wall balls you think in 4 minutes? Honestly, for me, at the end of that,
After a 2-minute rest.
After a 2-minute rest, maybe conservatively 50, maybe more.
Sure. Honestly, that one could be, yeah, sure. You could put, some people might get 100, but yeah, you could go like.
How about if I do 80, because then it makes the math better.
I like it.
Sure.
So 15.
So
okay, so that's 4,250 is the score.
Yeah. So I just messaged her. I said, "What's your best HCT score?" And she'll probably get back to me.
I am going to be lazy on everything and go absolutely ham on the row and ski.
Okay. Because
that gets you more.
Yeah. Because let's say I'm only doing 50 wall balls at the end, but if I can get 50 meters extra on the ski by just going like I can easy, no problem over 8 minutes.
Smart.
Then, yeah.
Smart. Yeah.
But the point is not just to have the highest score. The point is to then beat yourself next time.
Screw you, man. I'm going to win.
But you would just have a higher score next time. Like you could just be fitter. So yeah, I like that.
It's an interesting workout. I think it's cool and it'd be a great workout. And it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
It
exhausts me even just thinking about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Just so cardio, so much cardio.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. But I like it. I like it. It'll be fun. I might give it a try sometime. And I like that you do have a little time in between to move from station to station. So if you're doing it in a gym, you don't have to like block everything off and piss everybody off. And you got 2 minutes to rest to go to the next thing. And
Well, it'd be a great class circuit, right? I mean, she really has set it up so everybody's just kind of moving through.
yeah.
Yeah, I already like it better than the PFD.
I still like the PFD. Everybody
Screw
shits on the PFD. I think the
Screw
PFD is
the
just fine.
Let's get rid of it. Ban the PFD.
PFD's fine. They just don't use it right.
All right, Dave, did you watch the documentary called The Biggest Loser?
The documentary?
Yeah.
No, but I remember the show.
Okay. I should have
remember thinking it's a horrible thing.
Well, I didn't
What
think
made
it
it
was
horrible
hard.
for you?
Yeah,
what
what
did
made
you
it
think was
horrible?
horrible, Dave?
I don't think they at all promoted health whatsoever. They just promoted the numbers on the scale. And I think even watching it, I was thinking that some people might get better from this, but more people are going to be worse off.
You are correct. I wasn't smart enough to know that in 2005. I'm smart enough to know that now, but I did not know that back then. I watched not the first season, but probably like the second or third season, like just peak reality, Survivor, Amazing Race, like, and then I kind of lost interest way back then. But I do remember watching a couple of seasons. Like, I didn't recognize anybody pretty much in the documentary except for Jillian and Bob. What about you, Cheryl?
Yeah, my practice for Biggest Loser was to occasionally see it on TV, just in little snippets, and then usually watch like the last episode, right? To see how much people had lost, like to see the transformation.
Right.
That's kind of where I was at with that.
Right. Who is the least trustworthy person to you on that show, Cheryl?
I think the easy one to say is Jillian, but I think it's Bob.
Jillian didn't appear though. Jillian was never on the actual doc.
Oh, I see. On the doc?
Yeah.
Look, I think the doctor came across very, very credibly. I think they clearly set him up to be kind of the voice of wisdom and that he knew everything. And yet he seems strangely complicit in the entire thing. I think he's saying that, he was telling these trainers they needed to stop doing this or whatever, but I don't know. He stayed around. Like he didn't make much of a stink about it when it actually happened. And I do credit The Biggest Loser with the belief in our country that exercise is your way out of it, right? That the way you get better is just through exercise. And the only reason why they used exercise as much as they did is because having people eat less and eat better is really boring TV, right? So,
watch them not eat.
What's that?
Ooh, watch them not eat.
Yeah. Like there's nothing to be done. And if you've got trainers who are shouting at people to get up and, stop being such babies and stuff, it's just a lot better TV. And I will honestly say that I recently did a body composition test for somebody who had gained 5 pounds over the year and it was 5 pounds in fat and, that sort of thing over the year, because she does it once a year on her birthday. And she said, but I've been exercising, right? Like she just, I think people just have that assumption. And I think it's very much this show. I think the show did it.
I'm always surprised, or maybe the word should be just disappointed, when someone is on one of these and they learned nothing. Yeah. And the two producers, the one guy did leave the show at one point, but both of them were mostly of the, what are you talking about? We made fitness attractive to people and we didn't do anything wrong. Even though the evidence is all these people are now in worse shape, right? And it wasn't healthy and isn't good. And here's all the reasons it wasn't good. And when someone is like, wow, man, we really fucked up and here's what we did good, but here's all the places we fucked up. And most of those guys were like completely defensive. And it's always just like, come on, man. Like, I get it. Like, I get the lies one tells themselves, but you've had this many years of perspective and this many studies. And I was a little disappointed, I got to be honest, that when the people are still, it's like, dude, you've made $1 gazillion. Try to have a little bit of like, you know what I mean?
empathy or compassion
Yes.
or introspection.
Yeah.
I think it's just business for them. I mean, it was literally just a TV show for them, right? I don't think they had some grand idea that they were going to change the world or help people. They just thought it'd be really good TV. And I think in a lot of ways, these poor people were kind of victims of that.
Well, and
here
then
they are just desperate to change their lives, right? And they get caught up in this.
And then, you know, spoiler alert, there's the one guy who's bigger than he ever was, and my heart breaks for him, right? And listen, I have talked about how much I've struggled lately. And so it's like, it's super easy to be like, to point fingers, but like, it's really hard. And you, like, that guy has to feel horrible about himself, right?
I was pretty impressed that he was willing to be on that show and be as honest as he was.
Right.
He's a handsome fella.
Having not watched this, but just like I said before, when we talk about health and healthy weight and healthy eating and healthy lifestyle, what is the one thing we're always consistent about that we say you need to do to change is you need to change your lifestyle. Long-term consistency. That show promoted quick as fucking possible fix.
Right.
So obviously it's not going to work well. There might be the odd liar that it'll work with, but and they can hold on, but realistically it's not a lifestyle change. And if it's not a lifestyle change, it's not going to stay with you. You can't exercise for 5 hours a day every day for the rest of your life eating salad.
Yeah. And that's what they were doing, right?
Pretty much.
It made me reflect on this community that we're involved in. I mean, I think about how I don't actually know what you guys do outside of this.
Yes, you do. You know everything about me, Cheryl.
Not a lot.
I know more about you than I did, that's for sure. But like, I don't know, for the most part, we're all just kind of connected by this idea that we just like this, right? We just like being these people. And I don't know, I'm just kind of really grateful. I'm grateful for the fact that we have found the kind of community that's going to promote this instead of expect those kinds of things of us. I think it's a real act of desperation to want to change and to not be able to find the mechanism by which to do it sustainably.
Well, I think there are people, you know, who just don't like fitness wasn't a part of my parents' life. You know what I mean? My parents smoked and, you know, we ate probably the typical American diet of meat and potatoes, and definitely like, especially in the 80s, every listener who's younger than us in the 80s, like there was the only fitness you saw was like Richard Simmons or like Jane Fonda.
20-minute workout.
Right. But I feel like the 20-minute workout didn't even come till later. Like Jane Fonda VHS tapes were like, I just said VHS tapes. I feel like we're 40 minutes. I don't remember. But I feel like, again, that was all later. That's all 90s. I'm talking when we grew up, actually in the 70s and 80s, right? Right? Like fitness wasn't. And then as we got older, it becomes the access is there is more and more. And now we're in this fitness fucking like wave. But there's still people that just don't have access. I mean, listen, I live in the west end of Atlanta. The Kroger in my neighborhood does not look like the Kroger in Midtown. Okay. It just doesn't. So I think we do get caught up a lot in like this stuff is kind of like, you have to make a conscious choice to be around the people you're around. So when you start doing this, everything in your life does change, right? When I start doing obstacle races, even though I didn't drink before, when I start doing obstacle races, all of a sudden, a lot of my conversations are about the best shoes to buy and what to eat, even though that wasn't part of my conversation before, even though it wasn't necessarily like partying, you know what I mean? And so I just talk to people every day that this is what they care about, is getting fit or struggling with fitness. As me and my buddy Clayton, shout out my buddy Clayton, we're on this roller coaster together, and you know, we work out together, and there's times that we go out and fucking pig out together and go, well, shit, this is not a good week for us. And you know, I used to be faster than Clayton, and now he's faster than me.
Not for long. You just wait.
Let's hope so.
I watched a YouTube video. my husband's in Germany, so I've just been like consuming all sorts of, you know, I'm just wasting my time on social media and stuff like that. I watched a YouTube video that came across my algorithm about why movie stars these days who are like in their 50s look so much better than movie stars in their 50s back like in the 60s, 70s, and even in the 80s. And it's not plastic surgery.
Well,
it's just that
a lot of them, it's plastic surgery.
But in general, we just know how to take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
Like back then, they were drinking and smoking and, you know, all the stuff, right? I mean, Dean Martin and, you know, they were pointing out all these kinds of people. And I do think that there is access these days if we so choose. And I think you know, it's just nice. It's nice that we live in the days we do, because I think our parents didn't have as good as we do, for sure.
It's funny. My mother would always say like, "Oh, we didn't even know smoking was bad," which is kind of hilarious because I think we did always know smoking was bad, but she would always say that.
Yeah, yeah.
My grandmother who smoked was told that it was good for you, prevents Alzheimer's.
Especially like menthol, right? Like they would have like these, you know, different things.
That's why the army used to hand you smokes when you went in, you know.
All right, guys. That's all I got for the week.
Good. I raced my 12K this week, the blind 12K I'm doing.
Okay. So do we have our strategy down yet?
Yeah, I decided on a 9-minute mile. I think that's probably going to mitigate any course, you know, hills and that sort of thing. I think it's going to, if I just go out at a decent, easy pace, kind of a little up tempo, but just kind of realize that they may send me up some mountain and, you know, around, I don't know. So I'm going to see, but I'm going to try to track down the race director and find out where she came up with this idea, because I've never heard of people doing this before. And I want to see, yeah, I just kind of want to see how it all shakes out.
I've heard people do it with like cars, like they'll do rallies where you have to hit a certain amount of time for a certain mapped out distance, but I've never seen anyone do it for run.
Yeah. So anyway, so we'll see how it goes.
All right. Good talk, everybody.
Nice to see you guys.
Sure.